Morning YouTube. It's another cold and frosty morning. -6 today, guys. A little bit of a weather update. So in this video I just want to have a chat with you about tool thieves. It's not my favourite subject, if I'm being honest with you. I think I've said this before. I have quite strong opinions on people that choose to do this. I just think anybody that goes out and steals somebody else's way of providing an honest living, I think, in my opinion, they're the lowest of the low. But anyway, so we are in winter. I think, I'm not a criminal, but I can imagine this is the opportunistic time. You know, nights are drawing in. You know, probably better. They've got a bit more working hours, haven't they? Opposed to having to get up in, you know, early hours of the morning. They've got all the time in the world now, nice long nights, and obviously they might be affected by the old cosy living, so they might want to put some extra food on the table. It's a grisly thought when you think about it. You know, we're short of money, well, I'll go out and rob somebody else to, you know, bring up the pot. It's a bit bad really, but as I said, we won't debate what type of criminal. I will touch upon it because I think it is relevant, but the standard cliche is that they're smackheads. I don't believe it really. I don't believe that they're all smackheads. I can imagine there's some of it that probably does go for drugs. I think there's two types. I think you've got the opportunistic, where it could be somebody who's on drugs, it could not be, it could just be some criminal, and this is their MO. They'll just walk down the street, up and down streets, you know, housing estates, high streets, and if you can spot something, they'll have it. So if somebody leaves the car open or the window's wound down and there's a wallet on the seat, how many times, you know, do you walk down the high street and see, or a car park and see somebody in a sports car with the roof open and the wallet and the phones sat on their, you know, seat? Just think how quick it is for you to take it or them to take it. It's seconds. You lean in, you get it, you walk off. That's the opportunistic criminal. Just the same as if they walk down the street, or sorry, a housing estate, and they see Sam from SGM is packing his tools up, and you know, he's left a couple of them leaning up against the van. They might have it, walk off down the street with one or two. You know, or they might be out in a car, they might just see it, pull up, grab it and go. It's easy. They're the sort of crimes that happen, and you're on the phone to your insurance going, well, I just took my eyes off it for 2 seconds, and that's how long it takes. That is the opportunistic criminal. Are they all drug dealers? Are they all career criminals? Are they all smart people? I don't know, maybe. So, and then you've got the ones which is probably worse, and I think these are basically run by career criminals, and the smart people, you've got to give them credit, as grisly as that sounds. They are smart people. This is their bread and butter. They are burglars or criminals or thieves by trade. They've probably been at it for a while. They know what they're doing. Not only are they probably very smart people themselves, you've got to think they might have got caught for a few crimes, but they wouldn't have been caught for all of them, and they've probably done a lot more than what they've actually been caught for, and that's if they've even been caught. So not only are they smart people there, but they're also criminally sophisticated. They aren't going to be making mistakes. They aren't going to be, you know, leaving stuff behind. They know how to cover the tracks. They know how to cover or hide their identity. They know how to fence the goods in a manner. So with the opportunistic, it's the old cliche, you know, that it's down the pub being sold. I don't think that's really commonplace anymore. You see a lot of these car boots where there's tarpaulins laid out and there's thousands of tools. It's ridiculous. I don't know why, and this is another thing, why aren't they cracking down on them? I think it's because it's so low on the police's thing, and you hear so many people who have been done over that ring the police, and it's like, it's not that they don't give a shit, it's, you know, it's so low on their priorities, and then, but it makes you think they don't give a shit. So these people are smart, they know what they're doing. But I think what all thieves have in common, and this is how we can stop ourselves from being done over, is make your vehicle as hard as possible to steal. So let's just talk about the vehicles first. What does the majority of us drive? Well, it's a van. And what is the purpose of a van? It's a shed on wheels, and what do you do with a shed on wheels? You put goods or tools in, or product. Now, the criminal might look at the outside of the van, so say mine, I've chosen not to have my van sign written. My next van, I will be having sign written. I don't think there's a difference between the two. Some people say, well, you're telling them what's in their car, what's in your van. Well, maybe that will help you. Maybe the criminal is a tool thief, not a gardening tool thief. Maybe he doesn't have a quick way of selling a van full of steel gear, but he knows if he hits the 2 builders' vans down the road, that's quick cash for him. Maybe that will stop you. I don't think it will. I think they are much of a muchness, really. A tool is a tool to these people, and money's money. But you've got to remember, if you're driving a van, you're already a target. They could break into your van. You know, you could have no sign writing, nothing discernible. But what happens if they're breaking into a 17-year-old lad's first van, and he uses it as a passion wagon for him and his missus? So the only thing in there is probably a blow-up mattress with dubious stains. Well, they aren't going to know that until they get in there. Just the same as they could be breaking into my van. They aren't going to be thinking, oh, this is some 17-year-old passion wagon. They're going to be thinking, you know, this van's got tools in, because vans have tools in. So already we are at a major disadvantage because we are driving a van. So I think the best way of going about it is to make it look as much of a ball ache to break into as possible. Now, we can debate whether you should take your tools out or not. I'll be honest with you, for some people they can and they do it. For some people as well, it's probably not an option. They've probably not got the room to, but at the same time, it's not going to stop them breaking in. Now, I'm trying to put myself in the mind of a criminal. So for me, a criminal wants their life to be as easy as possible. They aren't going to be doing a Home Alone style heist where they are just risking it all to break into a house which on the outside you'd think, why would you break into it? There's somebody in there, whatever. It might be a high score, but they can hit other people on the road. Just the same with a van. They aren't going to be like trying to break deadlocks, slam locks, you know. So they are, if you park against a wall, say, they aren't going to smash your window, smash your steering lock off, you know, and then try and push your van out. That just makes too much noise. Remember, these people aren't idiots. They might do, and you do hear of it, but I think the vast majority want an easy life. So whatever you can do to put them off, I think you need to do. Now obviously there's slam locks, there's deadlocks. I'm sure I've seen somewhere, if I can find a link I'll put them up on the description, stick on deadlock covers so it looks like you've got additional security. Now okay, it's worth bugger all, they can come and peel that straight off, but people do a recce. They're not going to be walking down looking, you know, like giving it a shake. They're going to be looking and driving past. Remember, these are criminals. They don't want to draw attention. You hear all too often where people will get up and the van's been done over. They'll put it up on Facebook saying, hi, I live on such and such road. Has anybody got CCTV? And about 20 minutes later, somebody else will put up, well, my van's been done, my van's been done. It's because they go and do a recce. They will be out and about and they'll be looking around and be like, right, that one's got, you know, that van there, too much of a ball ache. He's on a drive, he's got security cameras, he's got a spotlight, you know, he's pulled his van into the wall, we can't get in, what's the fucking point? But that bloke's parked around the corner, there's no other cars there, no street light, that's the target. And that's it. It really is. It's so, and this is how I think they work anyway. I think they're opportunistic, and they also want an easy life. So whatever you can do to make it as hard as possible for them. So I've heard people over the year, I remember where I used to work at the building site, one bloke swore that by keeping his van dirty, it kept people away. My advice is make your van look as much of a ball ache, get additional security fitted, try and keep what you do on the down low. I know it's hard, and obviously I'm the worst example because I tell everybody what I do, and it's on the internet, but bear in mind, people will look at that. Just the same as if you go away on holiday, don't tell people you're going away. Be very, very careful who you tell, because somebody could let it slip, and somebody can ask a very sort of open-ended question to somebody. You imagine if they're on your road, or some people, I think the smart criminals, personally, I don't think they shit where they eat, but other criminals, they might ask the neighbour and they might say, oh, you off on holiday? Oh no, we aren't, but neighbour's gone away. They don't think that they're dropping you in it, but they are dropping you in it. So don't put up, don't broadcast, change your routine. If you always park outside at a certain spot at a certain time, well, move it a little bit further up the road. It says, if you haven't got a driveway of your own, see if somebody else who hasn't got a driveway, so who hasn't got a car but has got a driveway. So say if you live on a road and there's a couple of old bidders, just ask them. Even if you have to mow their lawn, by having your car on a driveway is infinitely making your life easier. And in a weird sort of way, it might help them, because they might be on their own and they might think, shit, I've got no car on my drive. This house looks like it's empty. They could be worried about it, but if you've got a strapping bloke or lady going to their house every morning, as daft as it sounds, they might welcome that. So you've just got to think outside of the box. Additionally, criminals aren't stupid, so they probably can tell the difference between a builder's van and a gardener's van. Now, I think I could, so I'd look in the cab, and you can tell by what dirt there is whether it's a builder's van or a gardener's van. If you've got plasterer's dust, brick dust, anything, you can just work it out, just the same as a gardener's van. I know with my van, I can walk up my street and I can go, there are tripod ladders on that van. What people have tripod ladders? Gardeners. Should you take it off? Probably should, really, but you're driving a van at the end of the day. You are at risk, unfortunately, just by driving a van. Another piece of advice I can give, and I say this and I try and mean this in the best possible way, is, now we've all had this conversation. What would you do if you saw somebody breaking into your van? Now, I don't know what I would do, honestly. I don't know whether I'd steam in there, try and fight him, whatever. I'd like to think I'd open the door and I'd wait up. But then, if there's one person doing it, would you go and wade in and push him off? My advice is, because I know somebody who's been done by this, my advice is open the door and get your phone recording. If you've got another torch, shine it on him. Make it know that you're there. Keep your front door, stand in your front door, shout at them, try and put them off. If that doesn't put them off, and they're still, big bollocks, and they're still there, then that tells you that they're going to fucking fight for what they've got, and they don't give a shit. So if you go and approach him, well, you're opening yourself up. So the best case is it's one-on-one. And I'll be honest with you, you probably will get the better of them, especially if you catch them by, off guard. But do you want the police coming out and you've got a smack on the back of the head and they're lying on the floor? That's not going to stand you in the best light for the police. Now, obviously, if you get in a situation where you go out and you're face to face and you feel threatened and you can prove that there's a threat for your life, or you feel threatened, well, it's up to you which course of action you take. You could rough them up. Hopefully it could scare them off, but I genuinely think if they're willing to front up to you and carry on stealing it, then they're going to fight tooth and nail for your stuff, and you're going to fight tooth and nail for your stuff. As I said, it's a very sort of tricky one. I think in an ideal world, if people come onto your property, we deserve to get what they get, especially if they're willing to steal or harm you. But we live in a world now where, unfortunately, it's not the case. So you've got to be very careful on which course of action you do decide to take. My advice to you is to sit back and record, shine a torch on them, you know, shout, scream. You want to put them off, and hopefully that puts them off. Because remember, the damage is already done. They've peeled your van, peeled your door, whatever. They've done damage to get in. They can't you can't reduce that. So at this point in time, you're on sort of a path of just trying to minimise what they can do. Now, if it is that you go out and try and decide to confront him, well, it could start out as one-on-one, but then they could have mates down the road, and then it could be 3-on-1, as in 3 guys jumping on you. And as I said, they're going to be fighting tooth and nail because they've got a lot more to lose than you have. They don't want to go in the slammer because they've probably been in the slammer. What happens if you go out and, you know, you give one of them a good whack and he hits his head on the floor? We all hear and we all think to ourselves, wouldn't it be nice to, you know, grab these pricks by the, you know, and do something to them? But you've got to ask yourself, would you want to do time? Now, there was a bloke on where my brother used to work. He got his van turned over, and it was one-on-one, and to be fair on him, he was perfectly in the right because he did feel threatened, but this bloke was a bit of a lump, and this bloke burgling him wasn't, and it wasn't really fair, as in, you know, and he kicked the shit out of him. But he went a bit above and beyond, and he was kicking him on the ground. You know, he was getting his just desserts, really. And my brother said that he ended up doing a bit of prison time for it because originally it got where the police actually said to him, "Luke, if you wouldn't have kicked him when he was on the ground, you would have got away with it. You know, we could have proved it as, you know." But it turns out some do-gooder down the road had CCTV of the incident, so they were able to, you know, basically they caught him and he was kicking him while he was on the ground. And he did really do a number on this bloke. Like I said, my views are pretty strong on it. I think people are the scummers. But it's up to you which course of action you take. But my advice, you just got to think of it. Would you want to do time for it? Would you want a criminal record? You've got insurance. Insurance is there for a reason. If you've already broken, it's done and dusted. It is what it is. But would you want to be away from your kids? Would you want to be, you know, explaining to yourself? I think the justice system's so skewed now that, you know, Mr. Nice Guy Gardener is just trying to put, you know, food on the table for his kids. Well, what happens if he confronts somebody and, I don't know, the bloke's running away and he fucking whacks him one as he's running away because he's pissed off? Imagine that, you know. As I say, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know. It could be a case that they say, actually, no, you're on your property, you're perfectly right. But you hear so much about people going into trouble for protecting themselves and the family. So, have a good day, guys. Keep on gardening.